Jannik Sinner beats Ben Shelton to reach second Australian Open final in a row. Australia. It's one thing to win a Grand Slam title. It's another thing entirely to defend one. Jannik Sinner, the world number 1, is within one win of doing that for the first time after beating Ben Shelton 7-6, 2, 6-2, 6-2 on Rod Laver Arena Friday night. Sinner wasn't perfect, especially early, but he didn't have to be. Shelton had 2 points to win the first set, but he couldn't land that deadly first serve when he needed it most. His forehand then got messy under Sinner's relentless pressure, and the increasingly indomitable Italian morphed into his maximally efficient, occasionally frightening, error-inducing self as the night wore on. Sinner, who did not play a tournament before this one, said he showed up not knowing where his game was. "You try to raise your level day by day, trying to understand what's happening," he said. "All of us who go deep in tournaments, they have some days where they struggle a little bit more. If it's physical, if it's mentally, it's a lot going on. It's a long way to come here. Now it's only one match left." The win sets up a showdown with Alexander Zverev of Germany in Sunday's final. Earlier Friday, Zverev won the first set of his semi-final when Novak Djokovic missed a put-away volley in a tiebreak. Djokovic retired on the spot, unable to overcome the muscle tear he suffered in his quarterfinal win over Carlos Alcaraz Tuesday night. The day started with the tennis world anticipating another chance for the greatest player of the modern era to vanquish one of the young greats, beginning a long assault on his records. It ended with something else. Sinner, a surging star who has played under a cloud since the world learned that he twice tested positive for a banned substance in March 2024, will go up against Zverev, a tortured member of the sandwich generation. Zverev spent his career hemmed in by Djokovic, Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer above him. Sinner and Alcaraz have now accelerated past him from behind, winning 6 Grand Slams between them while he still waits for his first. He also spent several years facing allegations of domestic abuse from 2 former partners, one the mother of his daughter. That case ended last spring, with Zverev settling out of court. Zverev has lost 2 Grand Slam finals, the 2024 French Open against Alcaraz and the 2020 US Open final against Dominic Thiem. Both losses were in 5 sets, both saw a lead slip away. After the loss in Paris, he said he would take a long look at why he could not win the big titles he dreamed of, why he always seemed so close and so far from the best of the best. At 27, he could feel time slipping away. He hired Jez Green, a strength and conditioning coach, to help him become fit enough to fight Sinner and Alcaraz for 5 sets, no matter how long that lasted. He spent hours talking with Djokovic, a neighbor in Monte Carlo and one of his closest friends on tour, during the tournament in Shanghai about where he wanted to go and how he might get there. He played the full tournaments and the ATP Tour finals, but practiced for an hour after many of his matches. He was trying to develop the tools he needs to step into the court and attack at the first opportunity like Sinner and Alcaraz do, instead of sitting at the baseline and trading endless backhands or relying on his trebuchet of a serve. When Alcaraz took over their final in Paris, Zverev, who had hung with him from the back for most of the afternoon, missed volleys when he attacked and was scrambling after balls flying past him when he had to defend. "I've made no secret about it. I was very frustrated after the US Open," Zverev said in his news conference after getting past Djokovic. He was referring to his quarter-final loss to Taylor Fritz, in which the American exploited his passivity and took the match away from him. "I was very disappointed with myself, with my performance, and how I played there. My goal is still to compete with the big guys and to compete for these kind of tournaments and try to win them. For that, I need to get better." For a little while, there was a small chance that he would go up against a player on a similar quest. Shelton and his loose left arm were causing problems for Sinner, as he stayed with the defending champion for the first hour of their match. The reckoning arrived over roughly 6 minutes at dusk, with Shelton serving for the first set at 6-5. Sinner had played a rare sloppy service game to give Shelton the opening. 7 points into the 12th game, Shelton had his chance to seal the set. It started well, with Shelton landing his first serve out wide. Sinner got it back and worked his way into the point. Back and forth they went for 19 shots, with Shelton's forehand sending the 20th into the net. He earned another chance a point later, catching up to a Sinner drop shot and doing the Italian one better. Again, the forehand let him down, flying long this time. 4 points later, Sinner got back to 6-6 in games. 9 points after that, he had the set, winning all of his 7 points in the tiebreak on Shelton's forehand errors. He likes these moments, his coach, Simone Vignozzi, said of Sinner. He likes to be in the storm. The American never recovered. Shelton was playing in the second Grand Slam semi-final of his young career. He has played in 6 Grand Slams on hard courts, reaching 2 semifinals and 1 quarterfinal. A late arrival to the sport, Shelton is officially a tough out in best of 5, and on Friday night he showed more than a few flashes of the raw talent that carried him into being a breakout star in 2022 and 2023. Those lacing forehands, his fast-developing touch. The serve. Since then, he has learned how to play tennis, instead of just hitting a tennis ball. This was an opportunity to measure how far he had come, but it ended as a lesson in how far he had to go. After it was over, Shelton was still kicking himself about those missed set points. He feels like he is close to the top, but also that there are more tools he needs, as well as more chances to play the best players. The consistency of playing those guys, playing a lot of matches in a week or a couple weeks, that will be the goal this year for me, he said. Those guys, Sinner, Alcaraz, Novak, the guys who have been dominating in the slams over the last 2 years since I've been on tour. On their bad days they're still winning in 3 sets, winning in 4 sets. They figure it out. He felt he had a subpar serving week, but still made the final 4. He can recognize his flaws, and try to fix them. Next time I'm out there with set points, I'm going to hit the ace, he joked. Sinner, by contrast, is playing for right now. He has no other choice. In April, the Court of Arbitration for Sport will hear the World Anti-Doping Agency's appeal of the decision not to suspend him for those 2 positive doping tests, with tennis until then left to wonder how many more Grand Slams he might be able to compete for this summer. Those concerns will have to be set aside for the weekend though, at least in Sinner's mind. He's got a trophy to defend. He finds playing tennis matches to be his safe place, said his other coach, Darren Cahill. That's where he can go and do his thing and feel like this is what he knows, this is what he understands, what is good at. It becomes a home for him to step onto the court and play tennis.